If you're wondering what's in my cup, what I'm drinking, you're not wondering at all. Okay, what the contents of the cup is up to me. Just like Lil Wayne. You know, what's in my cup? Could be anything in my cup. Because I know the last video I made was very positive, or it was trying to approach positivity in like my journey as a film photographer, quote unquote. Not really though, because I'm not much of a film photographer at all. But in that original video, there was a segment I cut out. Probably about like 10 or 15 minutes that I cut out where I basically went through a bunch of film stocks that I thought were absolutely garbage. And I kind of like read them for filth. Well, when I was like editing the video, which is very odd of me to do, I was putting a lot of time and effort into it. 16 views. We're going places. Okay, we're going places, everyone. Anyways, I was editing it and I thought, wow, this segment of me being like a hater really doesn't fit in with the vibe of the sort of film retrospective journey. So I cut most of it out. But I thought, oh, but it was so much fun just to like talk smack about like film stocks. So I thought, you know what if I just put that its own video instead? And so this is what we have now. I decided, you know what? It's 10 o'clock. It's a Saturday. What else are you gonna do in New Jersey? Absolutely nothing. There is nothing to do at 10 o'clock in New Jersey. So I thought, you know what? We're gonna make this video right now because I really want to. Now, there's gonna be maybe a couple hot takes in this video when it comes to which stocks I think are, you know, garbage. But I want you all to keep in mind that I am an amateur, I am talentless, I am a hack, I don't know anything about film or film photography. So, everything I say, you must take with that in mind. That you're listening to a non-professional and someone who will probably never be professional speak on this. So don't take my word for it. Or maybe do, as the common man, this is my opinion. We're gonna start really easy. You know, we're not gonna get too hot just yet. We're gonna go with the low-hanging fruit over here. So when I went on my San Diego trip around Christmas Day of December into January, I was still very new to film, probably not even shooting for a whole month. And I was like, oh, I want to take some fun film that I've never seen before. And when I was at my local, actually not my local, when I was in New York looking for some film to buy, I saw this one called Glow 400. It's a color negative daylight 400 speed film from Retro Color. It only has 27 exposures, and I was like, that seems kind of cool. I like the packaging, and I was like, why not? Now, the title of this video is, are these film stocks trash, or am I just garbage at taking photos? In this case, I'm leaning more towards, I think this film stock just might be trash, to be honest. Like, I know I suck, but this is kind of doo-doo. It's kind of garbage. And of course, I come with receipts, okay? I have the example photos, which is the stuff that I took. So we're going to examine a little bit of those. First on the docket, this is a photo I took during my first day in San Diego, I think. Maybe first or second day in San Diego. So keep in mind, the sun, very bright. It was very shiny that day. Lots of available light. And it came out looking like this. Which, as you can see, I don't even... It's terrible, really. I guess there is a sort of glow that the film supposedly advertises, but I'm not really sure why I would ever want this effect on my photos. I feel like this would be just like fine if I had shot on like a Fuji 400 or like an Ultramax would have come out really nice. But as it stands, this looks terrible. And look at my friends; they look so cute in this photo, and I ruined it with this awful film. This is like a close-up portrait of my friend here. But once again, is he in focus? Yeah, I guess so. But looking at it, I just don't get why anyone would ever purposely shoot on this film stock versus just like a Kodak Gold or a Color Plus or an Ultramax, as I said. Because I feel like shooting on any of those will probably just get you a better photo than like wasting your time on this. So sure, it's in focus, but it just kind of looks not that great, you know? This is an indoor shot. I mean, this, I guess it kind of proves that it looks sort of still underexposed, but I guess in a good way. I mean, not really, actually. It still has the same problem. It looks very desaturated. I'm not really into the look of it. Even like the blue like sake bottle that we had in the background doesn't look very good. And you can barely see, you know, my friend who's being, you know, dogpiled over here. Like there's just no information there. Although I did say that this film is trash and garbage, I do think I did massively underexpose the film. As you can see in like this side profile, it is grainy as heck, but it also has that like haze of when you underexpose your photo. So yes, maybe I think it's kind of garbage, but at the same time, I feel like I should try this again. Because I think that maybe it's also that it's garbage, but maybe I also just suck too. Because I feel like if this was exposed properly, it might have actually looked kind of nice. So that might be the big mystery of Glow 400. Maybe if I exposed this film properly, it could have actually looked really nice, or maybe it's just bad. But I'm not going to declaratively state that this is garbage. I will say it's a 50-50 toss-up, and I would try this again actually. So you know what, as negative as I was being, I would try Glow 400 one more time, just to see if I can, you know, get better results with it. Now we're in real hot take, you know, territory right here. And I think it's only a hot take if you're like a professional photographer, but as a non-professional photographer, I have to say, Portra 800 is not it. Listen, I understand if you do this for a living, if this is your livelihood, if you have a portfolio, you know, you get paid to take photos, I understand why you would probably use this film stock. But as an amateur hobbyist film photographer, there is no reason why I would pay almost $18 for this film stock. And to be honest, I don't think I'm like disappointed with like the quality of pictures that I took on the Portra 800. I just think that for the kind of like aesthetics and what I'm looking for to get out of like film photography, it's just a mismatch with Portra 800, because as they say, Portra 800 is more for capturing like a true to life feel of what reality looks like. So the colors are very much exactly what you get is what you get. It's not very pungent like a Kodak Gold. And I want to bring out, this was on a cloudy day in the outside New York around like Chelsea Piers. And as you can see, it looks, you know, pretty flat, but, you know, very true to life. That's what it looked like during that day in the outside. And I guess it looks fine. You know, he's in focus, which is a big thing for me, because I rarely shoot in focus, you know, intentionally or unintentionally. But it's just not really giving what I want from when I take when I want to shoot film, you know? This here is another outdoor shot that I took on the Portra 800. This is a construction site near my apartment. And, you know, when I look at it, I feel like even though what I'm told is that Portra 800 is supposed to be like a true to life kind of feel for the film, I feel like I remember that day and like the sunlight and then the yellow being more like pronounced than it actually comes out on the film. You know, like the reds being more red, the yellow being more yellow. It just feels a little too desaturated for my liking. It's just like a plain scan. This is like unedited photos. This one in particular I don't like at all. This is my brother. He's kind of in the middle walking down a hill, and it just looks terrible. I feel like this is also partially my fault. This looks, you know, a bit overexposed. As you can see, like the brightness of the sky is very white. But I feel like even if it was properly exposed, I don't think it would have come out any nicer. It just looks like something I would take on like my phone. It doesn't really feel like I need to have bought a $17, $18 roll of film, get it developed and scanned to receive, you know, this sort of end product. And like even this is like a pile of rocks. I know, great subject. This is a pile of rocks, and they were spray painted red for some reason. You know, only in New Jersey do you find just a pile of rocks spray painted red for no reason. But even the red just looks desaturated, which is strange to me because I feel like I remember seeing it very like bright and pungent. But on Portra, it just feels just not as impactful, unfortunately. I did test out the Portra 800 in very low light. This is an unedited photo that I took inside of a karaoke room during one of my friend's birthday parties. You can kind of see him in the middle. He's grabbing the mic and singing. It is underexposed, but it's not as underexposed as I thought it was going to be. It actually looks like maybe if I had like a tripod and I like, you know, adjusted my aperture and my shutter speed, I might have been able to get like a decent image on this one. But for it being like handheld, I was actually kind of impressed by the results I got from this film. You know, I think it looks kind of cool actually. This photo is kind of like, I'm just gonna put this one here just because I think I kind of cooked on this one. Like low-key, I think I kind of cooked on this. I just wish I wasn't in the corner right over there, but I really like the way the light hits my friend down there in the middle, very highlighted, and everyone else around. Looks very cool. Totally not planned at all, very candid photo. It looks cool. I get to use the functionality, but for me, as like a hobbyist and like a amateur loser, it's really not worth it for me. So, Portra 800 is receiving a no, but it's a kind of a very light no, because I get its place. I get it, why we need her, but I don't think I need her like that, to be honest. She needs to go to somebody else, not me. And also, $18 for like one roll of film, you're really just like playing with me right now because I am not doing that on any regular basis. So like, I'm sorry Portra 800, but it's not happening like that. As a broke person, someone who has no money, no job, no career aspirations, if I'm going to shoot some film, I'm going to shoot some black and white. Why? Because it's cheap. This film I'm talking about, not that cheap, actually. So it doesn't really apply to this segment. This was my first time shooting T-Max P3200 Kodak Professional. So let me tell you about this. I was sort of under the assumption that the 3200 T-Max was meant for very low light situations, right? You know, it's a very high ISO film, high speed film, so I thought, oh, this is gonna be perfect, you know. Oftentimes I underexpose my photos, so like this time I'm gonna like avoid that issue and whatever. But it actually became really difficult for me to shoot this roll of film, and to this day I don't really know why. I've shot 2 rolls of 3200. We'll get to the second one a little bit later, but on 3200 T-Max, my camera, which is an Olympus OMG, it had trouble like shooting it. Like my camera would just like stutter, it would freeze. It just like would get stuck whenever I would like, you know, press the shutter to like take the photo. It would just get stuck for like minutes. And I was wondering, why is it stuck? Like, why is it not like taking the photo? I don't really know what the answer is. But the results I got from my first 3200 black and white, not really what I wanted. So we're going to start with this one. So we kind of have 3 of the same photos, right? All very differently exposed. So let's go with the first one. The first one turns out the best. As you can see, this is my living room here. The grain is insane. And I knew this going into it. I was told that the 3200 would be very, very grainy. And as I said, this photo is very, very grainy. But problem is, it's lacking in detail, okay? You can barely see my brother or my friend. Like, if you zoomed into it, you would not be able to get details out of their face. Now, I don't know if that's the film or if that's like the scan job in it. I'm not really sure, but I feel like it all starts back at how you like take the photo, which is my fault. And this photo, I think from a distance looks okay, but when you get into the details of it, it starts falling apart, and I'm not that into it. This second photo is pretty much the same angle. The lighting is different, the angle is just a little bit different. It doesn't really change anything for me. It maybe even looks a little bit worse. The third segment is horrendous. Massively overexposed 3200. I don't even know how I did this. I feel like I should start writing down like all my camera settings before I take a shot, because this is ridiculous. I don't know what I did to this film to make it look like this. I must have set like the shutter speed like for make it like too slow or something to absorb too much light or something like that. I don't know, but it looks terrible. This is a photo of a like leaf or like a branch from a tree, super overexposed, like ridiculously overexposed. I have to say, this is not an excuse, but my camera, the Olympus OMG, only goes up to a 1600 ISO on my like meter, so I don't actually have in-camera settings to shoot 3200. So I want to say part of it was also on me trying to sort of kind of like guess what my right settings should be when I'm shooting this film, but like the results like this, I'm not happy with it. And the amount of money that I paid for like a roll of this is just really not worth it. And pretty much these series of photos I have in the outdoors are all horribly overexposed. They look like they've been deep fried, to be honest. I think maybe this is my fault. Okay, the first time I shot this, a lot of these photos were taken during a bright sunny day. So maybe the like natural light was too much for 3200. And as a result, it just made everything just super overexposed, which I could believe. But from like a perspective of like, you know, enjoying shooting film, this ranks pretty low. So I'm gonna have to say, I'm gonna have to pass on T-Max 3200. This time I tried from Kodak, I went to Ilford. The Ilford Delta 3200 Professional black and white film. I wasn't satisfied with my Kodak results months ago, so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try it again, because I feel like giving it one shot isn't enough. I need to try it again to see if maybe I can achieve better results with 3200. I don't want to write it off. So in my estimations, my second roll of 3200, I guess technically came out better than my T-Max, but it still came out just as unfulfilling and disappointing as the original 3200. And that's because I feel like just when I shoot this film, I feel like it lacks contrast that I like from the black and whites that I really, really like the Ilford 125 Plus. I love a lot. Fomopan's 100 film, I really, really, really love. The Fuji Across 100, also very pungent in those contrasting black and whites. I really, really like that stuff. 3200 Ilford, I feel like is just too flat across the board. Or at least when I shoot it, it just felt way too flat. So let's get into some examples here. So these photos I took from the window of the New Jersey Transit on my way to New York. As you can see, it looks, I don't really know how to describe. It looks opaque. It looks flat. There's not really a lot of. There's not like a strong sense of contrast. There's no like bright whites or deep black colors in here. It's just very gray and flat, which I'm not a fan of at all. I also used this film during the 4th of July celebration, when we celebrate America and whatever. And I knew there were fireworks going on, so I thought, you know what, maybe this is a chance to kind of like test this out. It was taken around dawn, and obviously the fireworks make, a big jolt of light in the air. So these photos are kind of just what I took. Once again, all handheld, no tripod. And they look fine, I guess. I wasn't really impressed with any of them. I really just thought that they looked... it was more like a test. I wanted to see how good this film would do, in this low of a light. And I guess I got my answer. And the answer is it's not that interesting, to be honest. These are shots from inside my friend's house, and they just lack a contrast that I love from my favorite black and white film stocks. It's just too muddy. It's too like flat across the board. It's just too gray. Like I just don't like it at all. And I don't know if this is like a result of just me being a bad photographer, which it really might be. There's a 90% chance it's just me being really bad at this. But I feel like maybe it's also the film stock. Maybe I just want something that this film stock just doesn't provide. Maybe the contrasty black and whites is not 3200's bag. Maybe this is meant for something else. And I'm just looking for something that I'm never gonna get with this film stock. Maybe, I don't know. But for my second time using 3200, I don't really know if I'll ever shoot again on this stock. I don't think it's for me, unfortunately. This is Cinestill's 50D, which I just kind of picked because I was like, I've never heard of this film before. ISO color 50, that sounds kind of interesting, maybe I'll check it out. Why not? This is just kind of underwhelming, this photo here, actually one of the better photos I took. Actually, I didn't take it because that's me in the corner. That's me in the corner. Shout out REM. That's me sitting down. This is my friend Johnny's place. He's an actual, legit photographer. But I was in his homemade studio here. And this is a photo taken by his friend Hugo, who's also a really good photographer as well. But this one is slightly underexposed, but it came out nice. I like the way it looks. It looks nice. My main thing with the Cinestill 50D is that I was shooting it on a very bright day because I knew that it needed a lot of natural sunlight for it to be quote-unquote as effective as possible. But in shooting it at this very bright day, I feel like a lot of these shots are just hella overexposed. Like this house here, I don't know, I mean, maybe this is just what 50D looks like, but it just looks flat, to be honest. It doesn't look very interesting. There's no contrast in it, in color or lighting, in my opinion. This here is a photo of another house with some greenery around it, but this looks a bit underexposed, if I'm being honest. And I don't know, also not very interesting to look at. I just don't think I like the way the 50D captures the sunlight. Cause here's a blue house here. In my head, I thought, okay, Cinestill 50D, I'm gonna really capture these very pungent blues, the colors are really gonna pop. But when I developed them, it feels like the colors actually took a back seat to the very bright highlights of the whites. As you can see in the background of this blue house and the building right next to it, the way the sun is hitting the brick over there, it feels more like exposed than the blue house. Same thing can be said for these three homes here, where I really thought in my head that it would just come out that the colors would be more front and center. But when I got my scans back, it feels like I just maybe overexposed the entire roll, because it feels like I'm just getting a lot of very hot white lights just everywhere, and the color is being lost in translation. That's pretty much my review of the films I hate. I hate these film stocks. Don't even get me started on the Five Below film stock, this awful UP Tech ISO 100. If you're ever at Five Below, I implore you, do not buy this film stock. Save yourself the trouble, okay? This cost way more money to shoot and develop and scan than it's worth. The $5 might be an attractive offer. Do not, whatever you do not do this to yourself. Because 10 exposures for $5, and you can only develop it in ECN2? Get real, okay? This was literally a scam. It was literally a scam. I got scammed out of like $25 for buying this garbage, okay? But that's pretty much it. This is the second video about film photography. This is me being a little bit of a hater. There's some bad takes in it, I'm sure. Maybe all of them are bad takes. I'm sure maybe somebody will let me know if somebody comments on this video. You let me know. How bad are my takes? Am I just that bad of a photographer that I just don't understand the brilliance of 3200 black and white or Portra 800? You let me know, because I'm all about learning, actually. I do want to get better at it, so thanks for listening and or watching. Signing off.